Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we have a great show for you today. First three topics we'll be going over is my Friday Power Rankings. I do this every Friday. Just want to rank all the teams, all the different things that happen in the week. So we'll get into that. The fourth segment we'll be talking about is the Cubs and their trade deadline approach for the deadline this year, and then going over James Wood being called up by the Washington Nationals. So yeah, that's our show for today, and let's get into it. So of course, the first topic we are going to be talking about is going to be, of course, the Power Rankings. You can see on the screen numbers 1 to 10. I split these into 3, so I filled on talking everything. This is only a baseball podcast, so. I do this every Friday, so we are going to get into it for this week, starting off from numbers 1 to 10, so let's get into it. At number 1 for this week, I have the team I believe I had last week here as well, the Baltimore Orioles. I have the Orioles here at number 1 for a few reasons. Obviously, they're an outstanding team. Really, it was them and the Yankees at 1 and 2 for a significant amount of time, and once the Orioles did end up sweeping the Yankees, I did move them up here, and they're going to continue to be up here. Now, I did debate if I was going to have them up here, as they did just get beaten in the series by the number 3 team on this list. I'm sure you can guess. I did a segment on it yesterday. But I still think the Orioles are just so fantastic that they deserve to be in the spot. Pitching rotation is really, really good. The lineup has an insane amount of talent with guys like Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Colton Cowser, guys who are just absolute monsters with the bat. Rotation, of course, is an elite 1-2 duo with Corbin Burns and Grayson Rodriguez. So this team is still outstanding. The best team in baseball right now, in my opinion. I think you could argue that it is top 3 about any order, but this is the team I currently have at number 1. They'll stay here, and just a fantastic team. They did go through a little bit of adversity for the first time this year, but still are outstanding, and I still think deserve this number 1 spot. Number 2 here, I have the Philadelphia Phillies, the first NL team on this list. Now the Phillies, I did move up a little bit. You'll see why when you see where a different team is. I'm not going to give it away, but I'm sure you can figure it out. Usually, for this entire list, I would have the Orioles and, I'll just say it, the Yankees at 1 and 2. I did end up moving the Yankees down for what I'll get into when I talk about them. But, this Phillies team is absolutely fantastic. As I've said many, many times, some of the best pitching depth I've seen from a team in years. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Spencer Turnbull, Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez. Just recently extended Sanchez. Spencer Turnbull is actually going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, so that should be a blow for the Phillies. But again, the pitching that they have is incredible, and they just have Taijuan Walker, the guy they're paying $17 million a year to just fill in for him. So obviously Turnbull is better, but when you're paying Walker that contract, having him as a spot starter, I'd say, is pretty nice. So this Phillies team is absolutely outstanding, not just with the pitching depth, but the offense as well. Of course, you have stars like Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm. You have Brandon Marsh, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, really good players. Now, you are dealing with some injuries right now with JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber all being on the injured list. But at the same time, really, every team is going through injuries, and both Harper and Schwarber should be back in probably 10 days, and Realmuto maybe in a few weeks. So it's not like anything significant, really. And I still love this Phillies team. And at this point, again, really in the season, most teams are going through some sort of injury thing. So it's not like, they're just the only team going through this. I'm sure every single team on this list is going through a significant injury. I mean, the Orioles just lost Kyle Bradish. So it's not like, again, they're not going through anything as well. So still a fantastic team. The second best team in the league right now, in my opinion. The best in the NL. And I do have them here at number 2. Number 3. I have moving up this list 1 or 2 spots, the Cleveland Guardians. Now, I did debate the Guardians being number 1 or number 2 just because they did just beat the Orioles in a series, but I did end up going with the Orioles over them just because I think they are just the better team, simply put, and it was only a 3-game series, and the Orioles did end up winning one of them, so it's not like it was just a full clean sweep. So overall, this Guardians team is absolutely fantastic. Some fantastic young hitters on this team, including Josh Naylor and Stephen Kwan. Other great veteran hitters like Jose Ramirez. This pitching staff has been really nice with guys like Tanner Bybee really stepping up. You also have some other good players like Tristan McKenzie as well, who has a lot of potential in this rotation. And there's a lot of people in there just as well, but still it really has not stopped them from being one of the best teams all year. Have been probably the biggest surprise the entire year, the entire baseball. So the entire MLB, the entire baseball, that makes no sense. So this team is absolutely fantastic. They are really, really great, and overall are just such a fantastic team that really nobody expected anything that happened with them this year. So, overall, I do have them at number 3 on this list. I debated putting them higher, but they are higher than last week anyways, with the Yankees falling down a few spots, which we'll talk about when we get there. So, Number 4, I do have the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, I talked about it before with the Phillies. They're dealing with a lot of injuries. Dodgers are dealing with a lot themselves. I mean, Mookie Betts, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, of course. Clayton Kershaw also had a setback in his rehab, so we'll have to see what happens there. But the amount of talent they still have on this team is pretty incredible. Guys like Will Smith, Freddie Freeman are still there. Absolutely fantastic guys. You've got Walker Buehler back for your rotation. You have Tyler Glasnow there. Gavin Stone's become a very solid starter for you guys. So this Dodgers team is still fantastic. How did I forget Ohtani? I mean, obviously Ohtani is probably the best player in baseball. So this Dodgers team is absolutely fantastic. Have all the stars to make it work. And yeah, that is what's happening here for the Dodgers here at number 4. And yeah, just a fantastic, fantastic team with talent to talk about for years and years. Number 5 here, this is where I ended up putting the New York Yankees. Now, the Yankees, of course, have been struggling really badly these past few weeks. If I got the numbers correctly, I believe they are 3-10 in their last 13, which is really rough. 2-8 in their last 10 right now as well. So, just lost a big series to the Orioles. Got swept by the Mets. Got embarrassed yesterday by the Blue Jays, and it's not going great right now if you're a Yankees fan. I don't think this is anything to alarm you fully and say this team is bad, but I think the Yankees' flaws are coming up a little bit more. I think the lineup depth is something to question. Really, the infield right now, first base, you have Ben Rice and J.D. Davis as a platoon, which is not great. Rizzo is not really any better right now with how he's performing. Gleyber Torres is not playing well this year. Tito LeMahieu is not playing well this year. So you have a lot of question marks with your lineup depth right now, and yes, some of that can be attributed to Giancarlo Stanton being injured, Jason Dominguez being injured, but they don't play first base, second base, or third base. I think there's a lot of question marks right now about your infield depth, and that's either going to be something they have to deal with for the rest of the year or figure out at the deadline. But still, overall, still a fantastic, fantastic team. I mean, you have Aaron Judge, Juan Soto as your 2 and 3 hitters. What else are you going to say about that? So, still an enormous amount of talent. Your pitching rotation is great with Garrett Cole coming back, Carlos Rodon, Luis Gil, who has been roughed up a little bit as well, but I'm still hopeful that he can be better. I mean, he was going to regress at some point. I still think he's going to be a very solid pitcher. Marcus Stroman, who's done well, Nestor Cortez. So still a lot of people to like for this Yankees team. Still immensely talented. And I did have to drop him because of that recent performance, but I still do have him here at number 5. A big riser here at number 6, we have the Seattle Mariners. Now, the Mariners haven't exactly had an amazing week or something like that. It's been very solid. But I did want to move them up, and I think it was the right decision. I still love the amount of talent on this team, and I think over this year, and they've shown that they are legit and they are very good. I think at this point, they are showing they're a true contender. This pitching staff is absolutely incredible with guys they have. You, of course, have Ryan Wu, Luis Castillo, so many other great arms for this team. Bullpen's very solid as well. Your lineup's starting to hit a lot better as well with Julio in there. So, yeah, overall, I think this Mariners team is absolutely fantastic. Do have him here at number 6, with both the Rangers and the Astros being very big disappointments this year. The Mariners have taken advantage of that and have taken a stronghold on the AL West. So they are here at number 6. And, yeah, they are going up in my power rankings for this week. Number 7, I have another AL team, which is going to be the Minnesota Twins. I love this Twins team. I think they're fantastic. I did a segment on them yesterday talking about them calling up one of the top pitching prospects in baseball, David Festa. Other than that, in their rotation, they have some other great guys like Bailey Ober, Louis Varland, Pablo Lopez, of course. Chris Paddock was placed on the injured list, but I'm not sure how long that should be. So still a lot of talent there. Offense is, of course, incredible with, of course, the dynamic duo of Correa and Buxton. You also have some other great players as well, like, of course, Carlos Santana has been very solid, and some other guys I'm forgetting, I'm sure, as well. But, yeah, this Twins team is fantastic. A ton of talent here. Once Correa and Buxton get fully healthy, I think they'll be much better. And even after starting the season off really, really rough with all those injuries, they've done much better. I forgot Royce Lewis as well to mention him as a big part of this team. Man, has his presence changed a lot in this lineup. So, yeah, this Twins team here at number 7 have done absolutely fantastic. And, yeah. Number 8, we have an NL team for the first time in a few picks, the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, the Brewers have been the leaders of the NL Central the entire year, a big surprise, and they continue to be one. This team has shown time and time again that they are legit, and we know why. I mean, the lineup has a lot of great pieces this year with William Contreras, Rhys Hoskins, Christian Yelich, Joey Ortiz, Willie Adames, a lot of talent there. Jackson Churio, of course, Sal Frelick. Pitching rotation isn't the greatest, but there are still some pieces there, like, of course, Freddie Peralta. Did just trade for Dallas Keuchel, so that should be an interesting addition as well. Bullpen is very solid, so a lot of talent here on this Brewers team, and it looks like they're running away with the NL Central right now. And I do have them here at number 8. Number 9, I have from the AL Central, the Kansas City Royals, the third AL Central team in the top 9, which is crazy, but they all deserve it. Again, this Royals team is very much like the Mariners. A ton of pitching talent. Cole Reagans, Brady Singer, Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha. So many talented arms that make up this rotation. Of course, in the lineup, you have guys like Salvador Perez, Bobby Witt Jr., MJ Melendez, Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Garcia. Adam Frazier's had a solid season with Kansas City. So overall, this Royals team is absolutely fantastic. Very, very good, and I've loved them this entire year. And finally, here at number 10, we have, surprisingly, the Atlanta Braves. Now, I've followed them a little bit more just because I thought some teams have been better than them. And, we've known it now. They're still a good team, but have not been the Braves we've expected from years past, with Strider and Acuna being out for a good amount of time this year. They just have not looked the same, and, they are falling here to number 10. You'll have a ton of talent, of course, with guys in your offense like Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris. Ton of talent there. Rotation is still very good with Chris Sale and Reynaldo Lopez, Max Fried, but there is going to be some regression soon, and even though this Braves team is talented, I couldn't put them anywhere above number 10, and I think that's the right place. They'll have to make some big additions at the deadline for me to really consider them better than they are right now. So that was our first segment here, talking about our 1 to 10 portion of our power rankings. Moving into the second segment, which is going to be talking about the 11 to 20 portions of the power rankings. So we'll get into that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we're back here on our second segment, talking about our 11 to 20 portions of our power rankings here for the MLB. We do this every Friday here, so if you want to talk along in the comments for the live stream or the YouTube video, please let me know, and I'll be sure to answer. Before we go into the second segment, though, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers to ensure that your question does get read in the air. Please use the link at gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into our second segment here, which of course is continuing the first segment, which is our 11 to 20 portions of our power rankings. So let's get into it. Starting off with number 11, we have a team that has rose very much over this past week. A team I did a segment on this week as well, the Houston Astros. Now, the Astros, as I considered it, were one of the biggest disappointments I've seen in a long, long time for a team. Had a lot of expectations going into this year. Were one game away from winning the AL pennant last year. Then added a lot in the offseason with guys like Josh Hader coming into the team, and were third or fourth or fifth in this division for a long, long time. Really were underwhelming, but have done a lot better recently, getting closer and closer to 500, and a lot is going right for this team right now. The pitching is working. Hunter Brown is doing very well. Ronald Blanco has been very solid. Framber Valdez is, of course, Framber Valdez. So a lot of talent here in this Astros team that I think is finally coming together. And overall, if I'm an Astros fan, I'd be excited really for the first time this year. And I think there's a ton to like and a ton of talent right now to see. So yeah, I have the Astros here at number 11, a huge riser for this year. Number 12, I have another riser, the New York Mets. I think that the Mets here at number 12 is a very fair placement no matter what anyone has said. Just swept the Yankees, swept the Padres a little while ago, took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, took 2 out of 3 from the Rangers, have not lost series since scrimmage throughout the first pitch. We all know about the storyline by now. This is an absolutely fantastic team, playing together, playing well. I mean, if you've seen the videos off the field of them just having a great time, vibing to their teammate Jose Iglesias' song, OMG. I mean, it's just the team is together right now. They're doing a lot of good stuff, and the hitting has just been absolutely fantastic. The pitching is holding it down, and yeah, this team looks fantastic right now. One of the best teams in the NL currently, maybe the hottest team in the entire league with how well they've done. And check their numbers when Francisco Alvarez is in the lineup. It is a very different team when he's here and when he's not. A fantastic team. Number 13, I have another NL team, the San Diego Padres. Padres have a ton of talent. I mean, this pitching staff is really great with Dylan Cease, Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, Michael King, Matt Waldron. The problem is they need to stay healthy. Darvish and Musgrove have been on and off the IL the entire year, and when they're on the IL, this pitching staff really does not have enough depth to really survive. But this lineup is still fantastic. Guys like Jake Cronenworth, Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis, of course, Ha-Sung Kim. Jurickson Profar is having a fantastic season. So a lot to like here still for this Padres team. Really fantastic. And I do have them here at number 13 for the Power Rankings. Number 14, I have from the AL, another surprising team this year, the Boston Red Sox. I did a segment on them as well, really about Jarren Duran, but I tied them into it as well. But yeah, this Boston team has been fantastic. I talked about in the offseason how I really did not think much of them. I thought they would be a very disappointing team this year. Not a team I expect to do much, and, well, they've been really great. I mean, they've been really great. This pitching staff has been absolutely fantastic with guys like Nick Pivetta, Tanner Houck really breaking out. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. You've had some disappointments like Brian Bayo, but the way that these other guys have been able to break out and continuously be very good has been a big part of this Red Sox team, and they've been absolutely fantastic. The lineup, of course, has a ton of great pieces, with Connor Wong and Jarren Duran being breakouts for this team. Rafael Devers, of course, being here. Tyler O'Neill being fantastic. So a lot to like about this Red Sox team right now. There's a ton of talent, doing very well this year, and I do have them here at number 14. This offseason was very underwhelming for them. I thought they would get a big piece, but they didn't, and right now it's looking like they didn't really need to, and this team has been absolutely fantastic, and I do have them here at number 14. Number 15 here, I have the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals are a very interesting team. Somehow they're in the wild card right now. I don't know how. I still think they're a solid team, but I just don't think they're better than some other teams on this list. But yeah, they're a very interesting team. Their pitching staff is very flawed. I don't know how they can continue to throw out Miles Michaelis for starts. I mean, yesterday he was just so horrible versus the Reds. I believe he gave up double-digit runs, so it was just absolutely awful. His ERA is in the high fives. I don't know why they continue to throw him out, but overall they still have a great ace on this team in Sonny Gray. Good mid-rotation arms like Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn, but really nothing special after Gray. The lineup still has a ton of talented guys like Wilson Contreras doing very well. Nolan Arenado's picked it up. Mason Wynn's been great. Brendan Donovan's been solid. So still a lot of talented players on this Cardinals team. It's just about putting it all together and getting your stars to perform. You really need Goldschmidt to perform like he's Goldschmidt for you to really do anything or be competitive, in my opinion. So really hoping for that to happen if you are a Cardinals fan, and definitely need to see that happening soon. Number 16 here, I have a bit of a disappointing team, maybe kind of what we expected, the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, the Rays are a very interesting team, as this entire year, I really did not expect them to do much with the pitching injuries they had. I kind of thought it would just be a retool year, see what you have in some of the young guys like Ryan Pepio, Johnny DeLuca, who you got from that big trade in Tyler Glasnow, but they've done pretty solid, or have been hovering around 500 the entire year, staying within close distance of the wild card, not really too close like where they could take it, but close enough that if they were going to go on a run, they could definitely strike. And yeah, this team still is very talented, has a ton of great guys like Isaac Paredes, Randy Arozarena, obviously some other guys as well. Pitching rotation is very solid with guys like Aaron Savali, Zach Eflin, Ryan Pepio, really taking it of their rotation and doing very solid. So I do have them here. Just the pitching injuries, they really are tough to overcome. Jeffrey Springs and Shane Boz could potentially be back soon, which are going to be really, really big additions for this pitching staff, and hopefully will end up helping them a lot. Number 17, I have the Texas Rangers. The Rangers are a very interesting team. They're very talented, but really have not put it together this year. I think just a lot of their players have been very underwhelming. Pitching staff and offense as well, but they're the defending world champions. I think they're going to be a lot better, and I still think there's a ton of talent here. Still think they're a very, very good team, and very excited to see what does end up happening with them this year and what is going to be going on. Number 18, I have the Arizona Diamondbacks. I love the Diamondbacks team, but I did have to move them down just because I thought teams were simply better than them. Jordan Montgomery had a really rough start yesterday, which is not a positive sign for you guys. With all the pitching injuries you've had, guys like Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, having Montgomery not come back to the guy he was supposed to be when you sign him is a really tough sign here. But I'm very much hoping that he can end up coming back to that form and end up being the guy that was so highly coveted by so many teams this offseason. Really hoping that can be true. But yeah, overall, this Diamondbacks team is still very talented. A ton of talented pieces on offense like Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Gabby Moreno, Christian Walker. Will be very interesting to see what they do at this deadline. But I still think with all the talent they have, pitching should be back soon. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I still think they're an incredibly talented team. They're defending NL champions from last year. So overall, I still think this team is very, very good. And I will be watching them for the rest of the year, seeing what does happen. But did have to move them down because of performance, but I still think they're a very talented team and a lot to like here. Number 19, I have maybe a controversial pick, the Pittsburgh Pirates. I've talked about my love for the Pirates on the show a few times, whether that's me raving about Paul Skeens, just talking about this Pirates team as well. As I've talked about before, they have a nasty pitching rotation of guys like Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller. That's a nasty, nasty top three. A lineup has some pieces like Connor Joe, like Brian Reynolds that have been very good and continue to be good for the future. Henry Davis also will be good, I think. So overall, this Pirates team is very solid. It's just about putting it together. This pitching staff is really, really great, and that really is the strong suit of this Pirates team. They are, that is very, very good. And yeah, if I'm a Pirates fan, I'm really hopeful for the future with the guys like Skeen, like Jones, like Keller. And yeah, overall, I will be very excited to watch them for the future and very excited to see what is going to happen. Finally, here at number 20, the last team in this list, we have the San Francisco Giants. The Giants are a team I've been very confused about for this past year, and they've just been a very interesting team to follow. I thought if they just were mediocre till the trade deadline, they would be better, but obviously we're not going to see that yet. But yeah, they still have a ton of talent. I mean, obviously a ton of talent on the injured list with guys like Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray, but pitching staff is still there. Jordan Hicks, who's been better, who's been, not better, I mean the opposite word actually. Struggled a little bit since being really good to start the year, but still has been a solid pitcher. Kyle Harrison's been very good. The lineup has had some pieces like Mike Conforto, Elliot Ramos, Patrick Bailey, Lamont Wade really break out. So there's a lot of talent on this Giants team. They're in a tough NL West, so that really is hard, but still talent here. And with this NL wildcard being so packed together, I would not be surprised to see them differentiate themselves from the groups in the future. But overall, still a very, very talented team. Will be interesting to see what does happen with them in the future and what is going to happen with them overall. So yeah, have them here at number 20. Sorry. So yeah, that is our second segment here, talking about our second portion of the Power Rankings, 11 to 20. We'll be moving into our third segment, which is going to be talking about 21 to 30. So just talking about these teams, and just our third segment of the Power Rankings. We'll see you after the break. So thanks and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, Now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing our third segment here, which is going to be talking about the 21 to 30 portion of our Power Rankings, the last part of it. Of course, in the first two segments, we did numbers 1 to 10 and then 11 to 20. So yeah, we'll be finishing off our Power Rankings here. Yes, these teams may be a little bit more uninteresting than the other ones, of course, as they're lower down on the list. But still, I think they're very fun. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk about them, so let's get into it. So first off, starting this list at number 21, I'm going to be having the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds have had a very, very interesting year. Really, it's been plagued by injuries and underperformance, but they are getting some of their pieces back now. They did just get Novelli Marte back from PED suspension, which should be a big, big piece of their lineup. I know he had a very good game against the Cardinals last night as well, so that should be a big addition here. Of course, you lost some guys like that are important, like Matt McClain to start the year. Christian Encarnacion Strand is going to be out for the year, so obviously you have had some big injury disappointments, but again, a lot of teams have. There still has a ton of talent here. I mean, I like your pitching staff a lot. Frankie Montas is good. You also have Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green, who are very solid. So overall, there's a lot to like with this Reds team. Again, they've had a very unfortunate year. I thought they would end up winning the NL Central by a lot, but at the same time, just with all the injuries they've had, it really was impossible for them. I think that next year really is their year when everyone gets healthy, but still a lot to like on this team. Again, I think the infield of Marte and Ellie De La Cruz should be very exciting to watch. De La Cruz is one of the most fascinating, exciting players I've seen in baseball in a long, long time. Has some of the best speed I've seen. Is one of the best athletes I've seen in a baseball field, period. So he's always exciting to watch whenever he's out there and whenever you get a chance to watch him. So that really helps out this Reds team. Have a very solid bullpen with guys like Brent Suter, Alexis Diaz, Sam Moll back there, so that's good as well. So there's a lot of talent on this Reds team, just really been hit hard by injuries this year, and that is why I do have them here at number 21. Number 22, I am going to be having their division rival, the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs are a team I'll be talking about in the next segment, actually, so I'm not going to go fully too deep into them. But the Cubs still have a ton of talent, just been very underwhelming this year. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do the rest of the year. But if you want to hear me talk more about the Cubs, they will be talked about for next segment, so we'll be doing that. 23 here, I'm going to be having the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are a team I did a full segment on yesterday, so if you want to hear me go more into that, please go ahead. But still, just like yesterday, this is a team that really is just so underwhelming. I think really has to just put it all together and just get their talent back on track. Have so much talented players on this team. I mean, just looking at the pitching staff, Yusei Kikuchi, Kevin Gausman, Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios, a ton of talent there. The bullpen, guys like Yimi Garcia, Jordan Romano. Offense, Danny Jansen, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, George Springer, Justin Turner, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, a ton of talented guys here, but it's just been, very unfortunate year with the way they have not really been able to put everything together. They caught up one of their top prospects, Aroldis Martinez, who immediately got popped for PEDs, so that was another big blow to this team, I think. So overall, just been very unfortunate for them this year. It's just been a team that really has not lived up to expectations, and I think is in need of a change, whether that's blowing it up, adding someone big, I don't know. It should be one of those things. I talked about it yesterday again, so if you want to see me go more into that, please go ahead. But yeah, this team is just very stagnant, I believe, needs a lot more changing. And overall, if I'm a Blue Jays fan, that's what I'm hoping for the rest of the year, just something to change, and this team to get some kind of boost in them. Whether it's bad or good, we'll have to see. 24 here, I'm going to be having the Detroit Tigers. Now, this is the last part. No, actually, I'm going to say that for next one. The Tigers, they have a ton of talented players on this team. This pitching staff is absolutely outstanding. Tarek Skubal is probably the Cy Young leader in the AL right now. Did a segment on him as well over the week. Jack Flaherty has been amazing this year and is becoming one of the biggest trade pieces on the market. Reese Olson's had a great season. Kenta Maeda has been a solid piece. It's just they have not been able to put it together with the offense. I really thought this would be a year for the Tigers to break out with some of their talented young hitters like Riley Green, like Spencer Torkelson. But Torkelson has been sent down to the minor leagues. Some other guys like Colt Keith have not performed. Parker Meadows has been sent down. Riley Green's been great, but other than that, there's really been not much on this Tigers team when it comes to offense. Mark Canha's also been solid, but I'm sure he'll be traded by August 1st. So overall, this Tigers team is very talented, just have not been able to put it together because of the offense. The pitching is still outstanding, just very unfortunate right now what's happening with them, and what is going on with this team. 25 here, I'm going to be having the Washington Nationals. Now, the Nationals are the end of what I would consider good teams. Everyone below them is a team that I would not consider that good. So, for the Nationals, I did have them pretty high on this list at one point. Just they've kind of fallen back down to earth. I still like a lot what they have in this team. I like their pitching core a lot. Actually, it's really developing into a way I really never thought it would. Mackenzie Gore, Josiah Gray. You also had Jake Irvin, Mitchell Parker, guys who have broken out a lot this year. So that's really solid. Pitching core, the hitting core is coming together with guys like Keibert Ruiz. C.J. Abrams has been fantastic this year. James Wood just got the call up. I'll be talking about him in segment 5, so stay tuned for that. But overall, a ton of talented players on this Nationals team, and I just think there is a lot to be happy about if you're a Nationals fan going forward. Again, maybe not going to put it together this year because the guys still need a little bit more seasoning at AAA, but at the same time, are still a very talented group, an organization with a lot of future, and we'll be very excited to watch them. Not really this year, but in the future. As a Mets fan, I am terrified of the potential they have with that offense. James Wood and Dylan Cruz are going to be monsters for years to come. Again, talk about it more in the last segment, but a ton of talent here for this Nationals team. Maybe not both for this year, but in the future, they're going to be a problem. So this is where it starts to get bad. I'm going to be having a 26, the Angels. I've talked about the Angels before on this. They're not that good. They lost Trout. They lost Ohtani. Not much to like here. I've said this before, but I thought they would end up being a pretty good team this year with some of their young core coming through. Logan O'Hoppe, Zach Neto, Mickey Moniak, Nelson Rada. But unfortunately, have not been able. Nolan Schnuel, I've not been able to put it together, unfortunately, and have been bad. After Trout went down, I figured they would be bad, but really did not think they would be this bad. I wouldn't say they were a disappointment this year because, again, I didn't expect them to be that good. It's just I expected them to be better, but definitely have not been as good as I expected, and they are here at number 26. Really not much to like right now if you are an Angels fan. 27, I am going to be having the Oakland Athletics. I talked about them before. The fact they're not last on this list is very outstanding, and a props to them. They have some great talent like Mason Miller and Brent Rooker. Rooker should be gone by August 1st, and Mason Miller is someone to build around for the future, definitely. After that, there's really not much to like. You have some nice young pitchers, I guess. J.P. Sears is cool, I guess. Lucas Eckrig, if I'm pronouncing his name right, I apologize. If I'm pronouncing his name wrong, I apologize. He's also talented. He'll be gone by August 1st. So a ton of talent here on this A's team, but at the same time, still the A's still aren't that great. Organization is still not great. So overall, I am going to be having them here at number 27 with some other good teams. With some other bad teams, I'd say. Sorry, that's what I meant. 28, I have the Marlins. Marlins are horrible. They've sold off a lot of their team. They're going to continue to get worse as the trade deadline does approach. They already traded Arias. I'm not going to be surprised they trade some other people as well. So overall, I think that this Marlins team is really, really horrible. Just an awful team and not really much to like here, and this is where it starts to get bad. 29 is the Rockies. They have Ryan McMahon. He's really good. So that's basically been my answer for them for a long time now. They are not good. I don't like what they're doing. They're not a good team. And I'm going to be having them at 29 here. And that's kind of it. Not that good. And overall, bad team. Finally, at 30, of course, is the worst team in baseball, the Chicago White Sox. No doubts here. They're going to have a really nice deadline, trading off a lot of their good players. There are a few good players like Garrett Crochet, Tommy Pham, Luis Robert potentially, Tanner Banks. You should also solve some of your relievers as well, like Michael Kopech. So, overall, White Sox suck. They're horrible. They're not a good team, and I do have them as the worst team in baseball this year. So far, I don't foresee that changing. So, just to recap our power rankings here. Number 1, Baltimore Orioles. Number 2, Philadelphia Phillies. Number 3, Cleveland Guardians. Number 4, Los Angeles Dodgers. Number 5, New York Yankees. Number 6, Seattle Mariners. Number 7, Minnesota Twins. Number 8, Milwaukee Brewers. Number 9, Kansas City Royals. Number 10, Atlanta Braves. Number 11, Houston Astros. Number 12, New York Mets. Number 13, San Diego Padres. Number 14, Boston Red Sox. Number 15, St. Louis Cardinals. Number 16, Tampa Bay Rays. Number 17, Texas Rangers. Number 18, Arizona Diamondbacks. Number 19, Pittsburgh Pirates. Number 20, San Francisco Giants. Number 21, Cincinnati Reds. Number 2, Chicago Cubs. Number 23, Toronto Blue Jays. Number 24, Detroit Tigers. Number 25, Washington Nationals. Number 26, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Number 27, Oakland Athletics. Number 28, Miami Marlins. Number 29, Colorado Rockies. And number 30, Chicago White Sox. So yeah, that is our power rankings for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Again, the power rankings. Please comment in the chat, on YouTube comments, whenever. Let me know what your thoughts are. So yeah, that was our third segment here. Moving into our fourth segment now, which is going to be talking about the Cubs and their trade deadline approach. I did hint this before when going over my power rankings, talking about the Cubs. Just talking about what I think is going to happen with them, what approach I think they should take, and just overall about them. So yeah, we'll get into that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, Sam. Bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fourth segment, which is going to be talking about the Chicago Cubs and their trade deadline approach. So let's get into it. The Cubs were a team I was very high on at the start of the year. Actually, no, I should reroute that sentence. The Cubs were a team I thought were very good at the start of the year. I really was never high on them going into the offseason and coming out of the offseason as well. I thought they were a good, solid team, but really nothing more than that. But really, at the start of the year, I thought that they were one of the best teams in the league, mainly because of a guy like Shota Imanaga, who turned out to be a fantastic signing. Was absolutely amazing with your team at the start, and still has been solid, but definitely has fallen back down to earth a little bit, which I think has definitely affected you guys. But overall, this Cubs team has been very interesting. They've been one of the best teams in the NL, come down to, not greats, have now stayed in the middle, and are now consistently very mediocre for this year. I mean, if you're looking at the Cubs in a standing sense, you're looking at them, where are they in regards to the NL, regards to the NL Central, all that. I mean, currently in the NL Central, you see right now they are currently last place, only by a half game, and they're only 2.5 to third. So NL Central is very compacted, but I mean, they're last place in the NL Central. They're 38 and 44. You look at the wild card right now. The only teams that are above are the Marlins and the Rockies, which are yikes. I mean, that's not good when your only teams are above the Marlins and the Rockies. I just talked about how horrible those teams are. So definitely a lot to think about with the Cubs, and I think at one point it was just recognized that they would be buyers, but now we have to look at what is going to happen with them at the trade deadline, what is going to be their decision, and what should they do. So first question we have to ask is, should the Cubs be buyers, sellers, or do a hybrid, kind of both, kind of do a retool, whatever. So if I'm answering, to be perfectly honest, I would think the Cubs should probably be sellers at this point. I think there's a ton of talent on this team. I think your rotation is very good with guys like Jameson Taillon, Shota Imanaga, Javier Assad, Ben Brown. But, one thing you're noticing is, first of all, Ben Brown was just placed in the IL. Javier Assad was just placed in the IL. Imanaga has definitely regressed a little bit, so I think even one of their biggest strengths is becoming a little worse. You don't have a catcher at this point. I mean, Tomas Nido and Miguel Amaya is probably by far the worst catching situation in the entire league. Just that's a big problem. Your infield is good with guys like Cody Bellinger, Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, Ian Happ. Ian Happ is all over, but sometimes played third base, sometimes played outfield. But overall, I think that at this point, I don't think they're going to be competing this year with all those teams in the NL. Being last place in the NL Central, I just think that there's a lot of teams better than them, so that is why they're going to end up being sellers, and I think that is what's going to happen. Rosenthal, along with a few other athletic writers, published an article today talking about what the Cubs trade deadline approach might be, and he basically hinted towards them being sellers, and it'll be interesting to see if they are sellers, what they could sell. Now, first of all, you have to look at a guy like Cody Bellinger. Obviously, is signed to a little bit of a weird contract, 1 year, but can turn it to 3 if he's not that good, with the team option, the player option at the end. So really, it's a 1 year deal if he continues hitting like he is right now. And the thing about Bellinger is, he's really out of place with the Cubs right now. Obviously, he plays first base well, but at the same time, I just don't think he's a first baseman long term. I think a lot of his value comes from defense and playing in the outfield, and as much as he is a good hitter, he's just not as good of a hitter at first base as I think he is to be the starting first baseman on a team like the Cubs, who apparently wants to compete and all that. So, yeah. So I think he'll definitely be on the move if they do end up trading. I mean, he'll probably opt out of his contract, so it's just a deadline. It's just a deadline rental for a team. Now, he provides a lot of talent, of course, again, with his defense, with his speed. Of course, a nice lefty power bat. I mean, one team that always comes to mind is the Yankees. Of course, this might sound a little hypocritical because I just talked about how I don't think he's a first baseman, but if it's just for a deadline, I think the Yankees would make a lot of sense for him to be their first baseman. Of course, they need a first baseman badly. Bellinger's swing would work so well in Yankee Stadium. He's been rumored to there for a long, long time. Pretty sure he grew up a Yankees fan as well, so I think it would make a lot of sense there for Bellinger to end up coming to the Bronx. It would make a lot of sense. And yeah, overall, I think that Bellinger to the Yankees is a deal that would make a lot of sense for both sides. The Yankees definitely have the prospects to get him. Cubs would get to retool a little bit and open up the path for a real first baseman to come in, maybe even swing a big trade for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the offseason, as I talked about in my Cubs video as well. So, yeah, overall, there are a lot of options with the Cubs team, but I think Bellinger is one guy you have to look at first. It's a guy that could potentially be on the move. After that, I think Jameson Taillon would be a really interesting thing. He does have 2.5 years left in his contract, but his contract is a little big for a starting pitcher. They have a lot of starting pitcher prospects coming through the ranks, and he might become just excess goods at that point. Maybe they don't think he's going to replicate the season he had, and they want to sell him high. With the lack of pitching, I do think Taillon could end up being a very interesting candidate. I think that is an option as well. So I think that would be something that is very interesting for the Cubs. But overall, the Cubs are at a very interesting crossroads here, with this team being very mediocre and just not being that great. But I don't know if it's bad enough to fully sell, so they could just trade a guy like Taillon, like Bellinger, maybe acquire someone else in a different trade that has a lot more control, will be a bigger part of your future. So overall, it'll be very interesting to see what the Cubs do end up doing at this trade deadline. And overall, I am very excited to see what the decisions they make are going to be, and just what is going to happen with this team, and what they do decide to do. Again, I think it'll be interesting to figure out if they are going to end up being sellers, if they're going to be buyers. I think right now they're probably leaning towards being sellers, just because this market doesn't have a lot of great players in it. I think with the Mets being as good as they have been right now, the market lost a lot of good players, because we've had guys like Luis Severino, JD Martinez, Sean Manaea on the trade deadline, on the trade block, but obviously not going to happen now. Pete Alonso as well. So I think the Cubs could really end up winning this trade deadline if they do end up shifting some pieces out. A lot of Cubs fans, I'd say most Cubs fans, really expected them to do very well this year, and the fact that they haven't, I think, may signal a change in Chicago with this core. There's still a lot of great players on this team, of course, like Nico Horner, like Dansby Swanson, like Pete Crow Armstrong, who is a young and upcoming prospect, of course, who I'm very high on, Ian Happ. So a ton of talent here for this Cubs team. It's just, what is your decision going to be making? Are you looking at the long term? Are you looking at this year? Do you think you can win this year? I just don't know how that would be possible looking at this team. So overall, the Cubs will be very interesting to watch, and just a very interesting team to end up seeing, and just watching and seeing what does happen with them this year. So it will be fun. I mean, you're looking at the NL Central right now. You have teams like the Reds, the Pirates, the Brewers. I said the Pirates already. One other team in the NL Central that I'm forgetting. I said the Reds. Reds, Pirates, Brewers, Cardinals. There we go. Left my mind. Those are 4 solid teams. Like, the Pirates have great pitching. Cardinals have a ton of talent. Brewers are leading the Central for a good amount of time. The Reds still have a ton of talent, even with injuries. So, going over at least 2 of those teams is a significant task. Going over a ton of teams in the wild card as well is a significant task. And I just don't know if the Cubs at this point are ready to compete. And I think it'll be interesting to see if they do sell at the deadline, what they do sell, what they could get back. I think getting someone back for Bellinger would be the big get. I mean, other than the Yankees, of course, there are other teams that could use him. I think the Phillies could use him as an outfielder. The Mariners could definitely use him as well. The Dodgers even could use a reunion with him, needing a center fielder. That would be very fun. But overall, it will be an interesting thing to see what is going to happen with the Cubs and their trade deadline approach this year, what the decision they make are going to be, and what is going to happen. Again, I think they're at a crossroads, their organization right now. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the offseason as well. I think they should have a good amount of money available, just not exactly sure. So overall, this Cubs team will be very, very interesting to watch. Really keeping close eyes on, and that is why I did want to talk about it here. Just their trade deadline approach and what is going to factor in with them this year. So yeah, we're moving into our fifth and final segment here, which is going to be talking about the Washington Nationals and James Wood calling up one of the top prospects in baseball. One of their top prospects, James Wood, ranks as the number 3 prospect in all of baseball according to most services. Number 3 for Pipeline, top 5 for most things. So yeah, an amazing prospect that I've talked about in the show before. So we'll talk about him, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye. And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fifth and final segment, which is going to be talking about James Wood and the Washington Nationals and his call-up. So let's get into it today. So it was announced that James Wood was going to be called up by the Nationals and would make his MLB debut Monday, I believe. So that was very exciting news for baseball fans all over, and most importantly, Nationals fans. So now I have talked about James Wood on my show before as a prospect I am in love with. I think this guy's going to be a superstar. I think really could be a top 15 player in baseball by the end of next year. That's how highly I think of this guy. I think he's an absolute baseball freak, athletic freak, and just overall someone I am going to have so much fun watching. He is in my division, which should, be a little bit of a negative for me as a fan, but also I get to watch a lot of him, so I guess there is some positives there as well. So overall, with James Wood going over him, James Wood is a 21-year-old outfielder currently in AAA with the Rochester Red Wings for the Nationals. Is 6'7", 230, which is, very tall and very big for a baseball player. I mean, we're having all these huge baseball players come up recently, him, Ellie De La Cruz, some others as well. I guess it's becoming a new trend for baseball players, just be humongous human beings. Is a baseball freak. I mean, scouting grades currently hit 50, power 70 grade power, running a 60, arm a 55, a fielding a 55, and just, yeah. Me, really, I compare him to if Ellie De La Cruz was a outfielder instead of a shortstop. So, and also, I think he's a lot better than him as well. De La Cruz is still a little bit raw. I think Wood is going to have those problems, of course, with maybe problems in the outfield. Defensively, but at the same time still has a ton of raw power, a ton of speed, and I think is a fantastic talented player. And it's very exciting the Nationals did end up calling him up, and I did want to talk about him. So Wood was, of course, drafted by the San Diego Padres in the second round in 2021. Very talented, of course. Did drop to the second round because of some performance issues at IMG, the sports powerhouse high school in Florida, so that was a problem there. But quickly became a very big top prospect for the Padres in their system, and became a guy that was really looking to be someone that they were going to build around for this year, for their future. Now, when Juan Soto did come up in trade talks, the Padres did unfortunately have to part with Wood, which I know hurt A.J. Preller, but they ended up getting Juan Soto, so it was like, oh, that sucks, but here's Juan Soto, so it's all better. So it really wasn't that big of a deal for them, but Wood has just crushed it going to the Nationals organization. I mean, again, is an athletic freak. He's a guy I have so much hope for in the future. I think is uber talented, so much ability. Could probably be a star in any other sport he plays, football, basketball, soccer, I don't know anything, but he's blessed us with his abilities to play baseball, and I'm very thankful. And yeah, I think this guy is so talented. 70 grade power for a 6'7" player is going to be absolutely terrifying. You look at his stats over the minor leagues as well. He hit 346 this year in Rochester, had an on-base percentage of 458, an OPS of 1.036. Just a fantastic player. Just so talented. I mean, I don't know what to say about this guy that hasn't been said. He's just absolutely fantastic, and is going to be a big part of the Nationals in the future, and will end up manning that right field corner, I think, for a long time to come in that stadium. And yeah, I'm so excited to watch him. I'm so excited to see what his potential does hold. For Wood, I think he's really going to be a big part of this Nationals resurgence. I talked about it before. I talked about it in this show even as well, how the Nationals have a ton of young talent coming in, and I think Wood is going to be at the forefront of that. You already have some talent on the hitting side as well right now with guys like C.J. Abrams, Keibert Ruiz, who have been very solid, but you're going to have Wood come up. You're going to have Dylan Cruz come up, Robert Hassel come up. There's going to be a new outfield in Washington. They have a top pick this year as well, which they should use for someone. So overall, this Nationals team is absolutely fantastic. This Nationals team is going to be fantastic soon. This organization has a lot to like, and I really think that Wood is going to end up being a big part of that, and is going to be a future face of baseball with how outstanding he is. Brady House, also another top prospect for them, should be up by next year or maybe even the end of this year. Yohan De Morales, another prospect for them. Elijah Green, a guy they drafted in the first round, who I think is good but haven't really put it all together. That's another talented player. So you're looking at this Nationals team. I mean, you're going to have so many talented young players. Again, Keibert Ruiz, Robert Hassel, James Wood, Dylan Cruz, who's fantastic, the guy you're going to draft this year. So much young talent here coming up for the Nationals team. They're going to be very exciting to watch for the future. I mean, this NL East is going to be a dogfight next year. I don't think any of these teams are going to be bad except the Marlins. So it should be so exciting to watch. And overall, if you are a fan of this team, you're in for a treat. And not just the pitching, not just the hitting core as well, but the pitching core has really started to develop as well. You, of course, have guys like Mackenzie Gore and Josiah Gray, who came over in big trades for franchise stars. Mackenzie Gore, of course, came over with Wood in the Juan Soto trade. Gray came over in the Max Scherzer, Trey Turner trade. So even though the Nationals have had to trade a ton of their stars over the past few years, they've been able to recoup these talents to rebuild this franchise and get them back in the contention. I mean, this is a team that just won the World Series back in 2019. Really had to blow it up after that, which is fine. I mean, fans got the World Series. I don't really think they should be in any situation to complain. So if you're a Nationals fan, a lot is going right for you right now. There's a ton of exciting talent here, and I think calling up a guy like James Wood is going to be at the forefront of that, and I'm so excited to watch what he has in store. Again, 6'7" as a baseball player, 240, just an incredible talent, 70 grade power. I really think this guy could end up being a 6 or 7 WAR player rather soon, not just with the hitting as well, but I think the fielding is really good. It's going to take some time at first, but I think it's really good. He can also steal a ton of bases, and also with that big lefty swing, he's going to be an intimidating presence at the plate as well. So James Wood is just someone I've had my eyes on for a long time as a player, and I'm just so excited to see him being called up by this Nationals team. I think he's going to wreak havoc immediately after he gets called up, and I'm so excited to see what is going to happen with him this year. I'm not sure what his impact will be this year with the Nationals. Of course, I don't think the Nationals are going to make a playoff push. They were very close within the playoffs before this year, but I think they finally came back down to earth, and I just don't think the amount of talent they have this year is going to put them in the playoff conversation. I still think there's a ton of talented players here. It's just, I really think next year is the year. I think James Wood is going to get some, it is going to take some time to get used to Wood and what he has to do. So that'll be interesting to see. But I think next year, looking at him, Dylan Cruz, who maybe could even be up this year, you're going to get Josiah Gray back, I believe. You're going to have Mitchell Parker for a full season, Jake Irvin for a full season, Mackenzie Gore. You're going to have Hassel. You're going to have Wood. You're going to have Cruz. You're going to have Ruiz. You're going to have Abrams. You're going to have all these young, talented players. And as a baseball fan, the Nationals will be a very exciting team to watch. As a Mets fan, it will be very unfortunate for me because they're going to be so good and just another team to compete with in this stacked division. I mean, the Phillies and Braves weren't enough, right? I have to deal with now this Nationals young team. So, again, we'll see if they draft this year in the draft as well, have a top 10 picks. So, yeah, the Nationals are a very interesting team to watch for the future. Calling up James Wood should be another big addition to this core, and I'm very excited to see how he does end up playing. What his future looks like for this team, and what is going to end up happening with him, and what his future is going to look like here with this team. So yeah, that is our fifth and final segment here, and that is the show for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in this week. Again, comment, like anything about the Power Rankings. Remember to like, subscribe on YouTube. Make sure to turn notifications on, not just for my videos, but for everyone else, for all the other great content creators on this channel as well. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. It was a great week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the day. It's beautiful outside, and we'll see what baseball shows at us over the weekend. Thank you guys, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.